Hi, I'm Missy, and I'm super excited to do some art with you today. I find sometimes when I do art of things like wildflowers, I learn a lot more about them. And that's what's super important when you're observing or working like a scientist, when you're looking at nature, is learning as much as you can. And there's no better way than doing art of something you're trying to learn about, because you really have to observe it at a deeper level. So what I first do is take a photo. Basically, I take photos of the wildflower I want to do, and then I try to draw it. And in so doing, I really think about how long is the stem? How many petals does it have? What are the colors? I look at the photo and then I draw. And so I'm going to just give you a few samples, show you a few samples. Here's a drawing, a sketch that I did of a violet, a little northern high mountain violet. I don't know if you can see in the lighting there. Here's some other sketches from my sketchbook. But here is a wildflower journal that I did. And this gives you a sample of exactly what I'm talking about, is how to look differently at things. So this one is a very low to the ground, and I put little notes. And I tried to get as close as I could to the coloring. I did this with colored pencils and pen. You can see how the leaves differ from each. So you want to try and be as true to what you're observing. I tried to get the colors similar. And then of course, I tried to look them up. This one you can see is called a Beckswith Violet. And I also put the scientific name. I put a little description about the flower. Just like any scientist, I made sure I had the date and the location of where I did it. Okay, so this is just an example of one way you can draw your wildflowers. I'm gonna show you another way. So I took the same Beckswith Violet and I drew it with what looks like colored pencils. Okay, but this is watercolor pencils. And I discovered this just a little while ago, and it's so cool because you draw it out just like you would anything with a colored pencil, add water, and voila, it becomes a watercolor. So not only are you observing nature, you're gonna be making something really pretty that maybe you could give to your mother or something, or keep it on your wall. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. Here's a few others that I did. This is just a combination of, these were just, I don't know, made up in my mind kind of wildflowers that I did with watercolors, just plain watercolors, not watercolor pencils. And then here's another set of wildflowers that I just looked at images of, like actual drawings of wildflowers. And I painted them first, and then I outlined them in a black pen. So all sorts of different varieties. But now I'm gonna get to how to make a flower. This is the Beckswith Violet with watercolor pencils. So first, I have my watercolor pencils right here. Just a variety of colors that I've taken my favorite colors. I've put them in rainbow line and style. And those are what I use to color, okay? So I looked at how many petals this had, what the color variation was, and I tried to look at my phone and actually draw that out as similar as I could. But what's nice about art is you make it your own thing, okay? I decided not to do any stems or any background. I really like a white background, okay? So I basically did that. You can see where I got darker in certain places. So I just have a little watercolor here, my favorite paintbrush. I have a paper towel for dabbing and absorbing, and a little tissue paper too, okay? So what I do here is I get quite a bit of water on my paintbrush, and I come up and I try to just get the water close to the edge. You can see how it starts to bleed. And I'm gonna stay, this is kind of the maroon color top part of the flower. I'm gonna try and just stay with one color, but you can see how I'm getting it fairly wet right there. And one thing that's really cool about watercolor pencils is you can dab and absorb your paintbrush and then stick it on and see how it pulls up some of that paint. So that's really cool. Okay, so I'm gonna just let that kind of dry and let it unfold. I'm gonna start one of these lighter violet petals. You can see there's hardly any color there in the middle, so I'm gonna let some of this bleed in. I don't like too much perfection in my art. I try really hard to make it really loose and free. Now you can see the yellow will bleed into this burgundy. Oh, and see how I drag down some of that yellow? That's kind of nice. I think that's what nature does. Those colors kind of blend, which is really nice. Okay, there's my version of the Beckwith's Violet. Enjoy doing your art. I can't wait to see what you create.